What's up, everybody? Jordan Miller here, along with Austin Kjergaard of the Perform Right podcast, podcasting on the Perform Right podcast, as well as the Live Beyond Average podcast. We just got done smoking a good workout, a lot of posterior chain, glute health style stuff. Pretty fun stuff. You can check it out on the Run to Gun site. Today, we're going to be talking about a little something me and Austin were talking about a few weeks ago, and we were like, hey, we should rock a podcast on this. So in our professions, in what we do, training individuals, nutrition, as well as daily training, we deal with a lot of people, and we've dealt with it in our own lives.
Yeah, especially, we've got first-hand experiences ourselves, so.
Right. Talking about excuses, right? And what I used to call it Excuse Island.
Yeah.
So, somebody living on Excuse Island, but with the amount of people nowadays, it's almost like Excuse Island has turned into Excuseland.
Yeah, it has. It certainly has.
So, today we just want to talk about all those little things in your life that, you're making excuses about, that's really holding you back.
Yep. I feel like people have excuses and they don't even catch it. Real life stuff happens. We get that. That's why Jordan and I, we've experienced it. We've had personal real life stuff cause issues in schedule, which has caused us behind on our workouts or whatever it is that we're doing. And that's kind of how it starts. So, it is something I think that's real, that does start out. But then it turns out into being something more where it's like, we'll use July. Both of us were super busy. I traveled a lot in the month of July. And so it could have easily, for me, have turned into, I just was traveling and it got to be so busy that workout got to be a hassle. I didn't even bother. I'm going to jump back in August, and then all of a sudden it's August. Well, now this is going on. And that's kind of where I feel like some of it stems from, at least in our experience. But the problem is like Jordan said, it turned into small excuses and then kind of exploded into this huge, big excuse of getting kind of not where you want to be.
Right, and it's really easy to not even realize what you're giving out as an excuse. Now remember, we're using workouts and nutrition, eating well as the analogy, but really these things correlate to anything in your life. So I think it's really easy for us as individuals, as humans, to give reasons why things didn't happen.
Yeah.
But really, because you're justifying.
You are. 100%.
But if you stop and look at it, if you were to reread a text that you maybe sent, let's say you're my nutrition coach.
Yeah.
Okay, and you check in with me, and you're like, I'm supposed to check in with you daily with my nutrition. Send you my food log.
Yep.
And you check, I haven't done it for 2 days, and you're like, hey, you're gonna send me your food log.
Yep.
And I send over, oh yeah, I'll send it to you here in a little bit.
Yep.
It's just been, I've been crazy busy, and I really haven't felt that well today.
Yep.
And I just haven't been that hungry. In your mind, you gave reasons why. In your mind, you're thinking those are great reasons, and maybe you didn't feel well, maybe you haven't been that hungry, and I'm sure you have been busy.
Yes.
But if you were to go back and reread that text, reread that text and be like, okay, did being busy actually inhibit me from eating food?
Right.
Did being busy, really inhibit me from planning out my meals? Because you probably already had them planned.
Yes.
And the whole I haven't been that hungry, that's gonna happen. But if you have specific goals and ambitions, daily you got to be doing actions to meet them.
You do. You have to have actions, and I think that's where actions and excuses intermix a little bit. Where it's, I'm so busy that I forgot to eat. That happens. I get it.
Yep,
but
completely.
Again, we're talking about nutrition and fitness right now is kind of more the analogy, and there's different incidences where things like that will happen. But I feel like I got busy, I wasn't focused on eating, and I think we've talked about this in the past. If people would change their verbiage, so I got busy and I couldn't eat this or I couldn't do this, and instead of saying that, saying, I got really busy and I didn't make it my priority to eat this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like if people started saying I didn't make it my priority, honestly, try it. I dare you to try that. You will be amazed. I didn't have time to eat this chicken and whatever, but I could have made it a priority to have a protein bar, so I still ate something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I like that. Because what it does is it totally changes your mindset,
Yeah.
right? Because I didn't make it a priority. Okay, well then what do?
Yeah.
You actually start thinking about what are the priorities in my life. You know, if I have this goal and this goal, you know, are they actually priorities, or am I just talking about them?
Exactly.
You know, that's the difference between wanting and taking action.
100%.
Is making the priority. So I love that when you actually say, yeah, I didn't make it a priority to eat, or, you know, we're talking about fitness and nutrition.
Yep.
Maybe it is you're struggling in your marriage, and I didn't make it a priority to spend time with my wife this week, or I didn't make it a priority to spend more time with my kids, or to work on my small business that I've been trying to work on. So remember, these go hand in hand with anything. You know, our lane is just the fitness and nutrition for the most part, so we like to use those analogies. I just love that, because you know, the biggest thing is what we're trying to do is you know, in our mind, Excuse Island turned into Excuseland.
Right.
It's a theme park now.
It
is.
is.
You know, it's easy to live there. You walk in the gate and the gate closes and it's hard to get out. You don't realize it because you're justifying reasons. It's that mindset. So how do we actually adjust that mindset to get to escape Excuseland? And you just gave us reason number one, or how to number one.
Right.
Change
verbiage. I couldn't to it wasn't a priority.
I really like that.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Because it holds you accountable. Like so I wake up early in the morning and I always try to read. Like, it's my downtime. But there have been times where I was up really late, and so my sleep is off, and then I didn't get to read. It wasn't my priority to read in the morning. Even though it's what I want to do, it just wasn't a priority because I knew I was up late getting work done or doing something else that, you know, if I'm going to bed at midnight, I'm not getting up at 4 o'clock. Like, I know I need to function off a little bit more sleep, so it just wasn't my priority. So I will prioritize reading at either a different day or later that day, but I will make it my priority. And again, it's just something on a smaller scale. Like, I think we both have had things where, again, like, it wasn't my priority to focus on small business because it was my priority to focus on this. But when you start to use that word priority, your mind has a whole different shift to, like, okay, I can see why. At first, there was a legit reason, like, I got sick for a week and I had no appetite, but then after that, it just wasn't my priority anymore.
To get back on track.
Yeah.
Right. You're using that as an excuse of why you're still sucking.
Right, you are. Like, because we want to feel good about the reasons why we're not getting to that goal.
Okay, so we just gave a good tangible reason.
Yeah.
Of how to escape Excuseland. Mm-hmm. So now let's give a tangible reason. How do you actually make it a priority? Right. So I think a lot of that starts with just, again, it's the mindset adjustment to becoming, you know, self-aware enough to realize you're not making those things a priority.
Exactly.
Look at your day. So if you actually have those couple goals that you're trying to accomplish, look at your last week.
Yeah.
Okay. So by looking at your last week and your last 2 weeks and your last month, you're going to start, you know, gaining that self-awareness to, okay, how many hours a day have I been actually, by, you know, prioritizing those goals?
Right.
What I want, what I say I want. Break that down. So just reverse engineer it, right? Okay, I want to work on my small business.
Yep.
And I've been working on it for a couple months, and dude, it's just not getting anywhere.
Right.
You know, or I've been trying to lose weight, and it's just not getting anywhere. Okay, well, have you been tracking your food and tracking your workouts? And now, let's look back. You break out that food log.
Yeah.
You break out that workout plan. Oh, I thought, you know, my workout plan was 5 days a week, and I've kind of been thinking, I work out 5 days a week, but dude, I've been averaging like 2.5 to 3 days a week.
Yep.
And I've only been hitting my nutrition plan like really good couple days out of the week.
Yeah, I eat a good breakfast, but my day throughout.
Yeah, I'm looking back. Okay, cool. Well, now I have the self-awareness to realize, you know, I haven't been making it a priority as much as I thought I was. In my head, I really believed it was a priority because I really want it.
Yeah.
And you start to believe that you're working harder than you are.
Right. I agree with writing. I'm a big believer of writing your schedule out, even if it's just for like a day on a piece of paper. I'm not saying you have to log your entire week. I mean, a lot of people, I think us included, it helps us be more organized. But I think if you just write out an entire day, what time you get up, and then every hour or even every 30 minutes for the day what you're doing. So if you're working from 8 to 5, what are you doing between 6 and 8 a.m.?
Yeah, do that for a day.
What are you doing after 5? Are you going to the gym? Okay, you're there for an hour, so now it's 6 o'clock, and then you have supper with the family. You're done by like 7:30. So from 7:30 at night to when you're going to bed, are you Netflix and chilling? Are you getting, you know, family time in when the kids are in bed and it's 9 o'clock? Are you going to bed, or are you staying up until 10? and you're getting that extra hour to focus on your small business, or
Yeah.
to prepare food, like, or are you just sitting scrolling through, news feeds and all that type of stuff? Like, what are you doing? Because I'm pretty confident if you're struggling and you just write it out, there's probably 1 to 3 hours in your day that you don't even think about that you could be utilizing to focus on your fitness, nutrition goals, or even your small business or whatever.
Yeah, like 7 hours a week
Yeah,
extra on something.
extra. Yeah,
Like that's huge.
exactly.
I mean, do the math on that for 1 month. Do the math on that for 1 year.
And then again, ask yourself, is putting Netflix on and then while Netflix is going, I'm just scrolling through my phone, is that your current priority, and is that what's
Right.
really taking you away from, and I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with having some mental just break, and
You need that escapism, right?
you do,
Yeah.
but now we're talking in a different extreme here. We're talking about like how bad did you really want your goals, so
Are you actually going to sacrifice for it?
are you
or
going to
not?
sacrifice a little, spacing out on social media time and then focusing more on your craft, wherever that craft may be?
Well, and that's the biggest thing is it's really easy to just put it off. Now
Yeah.
we're another month down the road. And my biggest thing that kills me on that kind of stuff is I don't want to be another 10 years down my life and look back and just, dude, why was I lazy?
Right.
Like I think about that and how short life is, and
Mhm.
life is long and life is short all at the same time. And like I just don't like the thought of like being 60 or being 70 or being 80 and just being upset with myself. Like
Right.
I just, dude, the thought of that really bothers me.
So it was funny when you were saying that. Do you feel, because you have 2 kids,
Mm-hmm.
do you feel that do you ever look back and be like, wow, before I had 2 kids, I had so much more time on my hands, or do you feel like, what I mean?
That's
Do
a
you feel
great
like you have
question.
more or less
Okay.
time now? Because I feel like that's kind of relevant to what we're
That's
talking
actually
about.
a really good question because before I had kids, so I have
Yeah.
a 3.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old.
Mhm.
So 4.5 years ago when we got pregnant, all I heard from some of my friends was, dude, you're never going to be able to work out as much. And I was
Right.
a small business owner then,
Mhm.
and working full time.
Yep.
And you're never going to be able to work out as much or go on. And I heard you're never going to be able to do the hunts that you want to do now.
Right.
And I was like, why? Like, why wouldn't I still do my same thing?
Right.
I'm just going to prioritize better. And so now, 3.5 years down the road or 4 years down the road, 2 kids, same business that I've owned that takes up more time,
Mm-hmm.
still work full time.
Yep.
And honestly, like, I look back and I'm like, dude, I wasted so much time.
Right.
Like, and I still look at my day and I'm like, well, I could cut out another 30 minutes of scrolling through my phone and accomplish more.
Exactly.
Like I love to scroll through my phone and watch what people are doing. I love to watch like all the people that follow me. I'll scroll through. I love
Yeah.
to look at that and see what they're doing because I want to understand what they're doing.
Right.
And I want to create content that they like. Difficult, but I look back and I'm like, dude, why would I don't work out any less than I did then. I might work out less time but more intensely.
Right. You might be more efficient with your time.
I'm way more efficient with my time, and I
Right.
still waste time every day.
Right.
I'm like, if I put forth that energy 4 or 5 years ago, what I'm doing now,
Yep.
how much farther would I actually be? So that is a taste of that regret right there.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, if that's a little bit of regret, and I was still working what I thought was working way harder than any of my peers,
Yep.
and I'm like, and I'm looking back now, even 4 years later, 3 years later, 6 years later, and I'm like, dude, I wish I would worked a little harder.
Mhm.
And I was working that much then. I'm like, that's a taste of regret already.
Right.
And I just turned 30.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I don't want another 10 years. I don't want to be 60, double it.
Yep.
Like, think about what we've done in 30 years. Now double it. And I don't have the first 18 years of just learning of the teens.
Right.
Okay, so the first 18 years now that I get, let's say I redo that
Yeah.
into, so 48, like, dude, what can I do in
Right.
the next 18? Like, I'm stoked.
Yeah. Now that
Like,
you've
I'm
learned
stoked about
on how
that.
to like manage your time better and base that time around your priorities and like you said, being younger, I think you have to go through a few mistakes and things because that's how you learn and that's
Yeah,
how you grow.
completely.
And so yeah, it's a very exciting time to think of it like that.
So we gave the reason number 1,
Yep.
right, of how to escape Excuseland was the learning to prioritize what is actually important to you
Exactly. And using the word prioritize
and using it in your
instead
verbiage.
of
Yes.
other verbiage.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the second reason was actually looking at what you prioritize and becoming self-aware, looking back and reverse engineering a little bit, and really seeing if you're taking action on that, right?
Right.
So, 2 great things there. Austin, do you have another one for us to leave people with? Great way to escape Excuseland.
I mean, it's going to sound, to kind of summarize, I would say, start now. So many people watch or listen to these videos, vlogs, podcasts, and they're like, man, I really enjoy what you're saying. But are you doing it?
Go freaking do it.
So I would say, and then I know it sounds so like simple and elementary, but do it. Like, you're here right now. Do what we just talked about. Post or send us a DM and tell us your schedule. Like, what's your schedule like? Like, did you find after actually implementing this right now? Actually, I dare you to do that. I'm daring you to do that right now. I dare anyone watching or listening, write out your schedule today, right now, the moment you're watching this. Send it to either of us and tell us whether you had an hour or 3 hours of time to go and achieve your goal. Whether it's fitness, nutrition, or business, I am daring you. That is my final thing. Dare you, do it now.
Dare you to take action.
Yep.
I bet we'll get lucky. I hope one listener does it.
Yep.
I hope that one person gets something out of this, that they go and do it and it helps them.
I agree.
To take action on being self-aware, which is going to help you take action on prioritizing those 3 things. Thank you guys so much for joining us, taking the time to listen to our content. That means so much to us. It humbles us extremely.
And we hope you guys get something out of it.
And we want you to get something out of this and see value in it. Thank you for listening to the Run to Gun Live Beyond Average podcast and the Perform Right podcast with Austin Kjergaard. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.